Welcome to Kidmissing TV. I'm your host, Angelina Wilson. This is an update on the Duggar situation. Now, we all know Josh is in jail for hopefully a very long time. And I have quite a bit of information at this point. I will link up in the cards my video about Shiny Happy People, the documentary about the whole situation. This is an addendum to that. You'll also notice that my eyeshadow is green. I'm getting ready to film Murderous March. And since it is March, I went with this glitter green that I got in a beauty advent calendar that I looked at. When would I ever use that? Well, St. Patty's Day, which I will use it for St. Patty's Day at the Historical Society. And I'm using it for Murderous March for St. Patrick's Day, in honor of St. Patrick's Day. So, which I'll begin filming today. Anyway, before we do that, let's get to this Duggar addendum. If you remember, Jim and Bobby Holtz, is it Jim? Anyway, are the best buds with Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar. Well, they lost child custody to their son. One of their children, well, he has 2 or 3 of their kids, and then another one of their kids, who's 17, they lost permanent custody of, probably because she is 17. And what's the point of a temporary situation when you're going to be an adult soon? So, yeah. There were sexual abuse allegations, among other abuse allegations, in the case. So, she testified in chambers. Let's see if I can, I want to think without a crystal ball for all this update. Yeah, Bobby and Jim Holt. I'm not going to use the 17-year-old's name because there are sexual abuse allegations, and she is still technically a minor. We're not talking about stat rape with a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old. We're talking about a father and a child. So, but Spencer is her permanent guardian. Of course, they're saying, no, she exaggerates. She didn't want to come home. The 2 young sons were removed and given to Spencer as a result of serious abuse. Abuse? Yeah, I can talk today. Abuse. They have to have their education reviewed and their mostly it's Jim Holt, I guess, that doled out the abuse, which is not a surprise. Have you ever watched or looked at pictures of Jim Bob and Michelle? Or watched them and watched the way she looks at him and the way he presents himself, his body language? Now, I'm far from an expert in that. I am, and I've talked about this on the other channel, mildly autistic, so I have trouble with those things. But I was looking at a picture the other day, and she's kind of looking up at him. And he's standing there in a very stern, strong, sort of dominant pose. And I just think that the men in this religious sect, I don't want to call it a cult, even though I guess it meets the criteria, um, and her sources, by the way, um, because a lot of this comes from Without a Crystal Ball, Julie. Her sources are, I think that's her name, people like Amy and her mother, Deanna Duggar. And Jim Holt tried to ruin all of that. Didn't work. Um, could Jim Bob and Jim Holt end up in jail alongside Josh? Well, possible. I mean, could Jim Bob have been doing some of the same things? Yeah, absolutely. Um, she has spent nearly 5 years interviewing dozens of people connected to the Duggars and 2 former church elders of the Duggars church. Without a Crystal Ball has. On Shiny Happy People, the cover-up was placed solely on Jim Bob by Jim Holt. In conversations with me, Jim Holt consistently downplayed anyone else's responsibility other than Jim Bob Duggar, she said. A former elder in the church who cut ties with both men has been in contact with her for years as well. Children and several women from the church have agreed with the former elder. The IBLP is the name of their sect. The Institute for Biblical Life Principles or something like that. Was 100% involved in helping cover up the crimes. One of Bill Gothard's closest confidants and doctor that helped write the medical curriculum, Dodie Murphy, was brought in to mediate. His goal was to mediate the group, encourage the Duggars to do the show, and prevent law enforcement involvement. Dodie has also been accused by his daughter of raping and sexually assaulting her. Yikes! Guys, that is the doctor for this cult. There's no other way to put it. It meets all the criteria. Especially when you have your own doctor. And then there was Michael Pearl. Michael Pearl is a tinfoil hat weirdo. Him and his wife wrote a book about child rearing, and they said, don't go to the police. You won't know whether he's a pedophile until he's an adult. He was 15. One of the people that he touched under her dress, sitting on his lap, was 4. That makes him a pedophile. I'm sorry. Okay, supposedly, Holt wanted Duggar, Jim Bob, to report what was going on to police. And Jim Bob said, no, and if you do it, I'll tell them that you and Bobby were in a relationship that was statutory rape. before you were married to each other. Well, I don't, first of all, that's kind of a hollow threat. You're not holding much over someone's head with that threat because A, they're married, they've been married for a zillion years. So if there were any statute of limitations, it's gone like this a long time ago. Second, they are married now. Third, do we know that she wasn't 17, even 16, and he was 18, depending on the age of consent in the state of Arkansas? I mean, if he was, 19 or 20 and she was 12, that might have been a little different, although they're married now. I just don't think it should matter in a case like that because multiple daughters of Jim Holt have reported abuse. Is it possible that his wife was much younger than we thought? Much younger than I'm thinking, and and therefore she should have known it was a possibility. Or did she think, well, he's not going to do it to his own child, even though I was a kid? I don't know, the age situation between them. Looking at them, it doesn't look like there's a huge age situation there, but it's hard to tell. Jim Bob and Jim Holt had this plan to arrange a marriage between Josh and I think Jim's oldest daughter, Kaylee, and they would become the next big couple in IBLP, and they were prepping Josh to become the president and of the U.S. in somebody's screwed up head, and believed that Josh would become one of the most powerful men in Christianity. Oh, how the mighty have fallen, my mother used to say. But that relationship fell apart. Oh, that's interesting. So the reason that Anna was chosen for Josh was because her father was a fixer in the IBLP for sex offenders and criminals like Josh. So she was given the same offer as Kaylee. She believed that Josh would become powerful. And we all know, as Without a Crystal Ball says, the Duggars were never completely honest or transparent with her parents about his history. Their father is actually a minister, Michael Keller. People who live around them, who are part of his following, Jim Bob's following, because they have a lot of their church meetings at his house, believe he is the new leader of the IBLP, that he is anointed by God. Because he encouraged families that were following him to move to Arkansas. So he has his own little cult in northwest Arkansas and he was able to broker arranged marriages with these families for his other kids. Divorce is not allowed. But they have said she will have financial security for life, a free place to stay, and the ability to never have to work as long as she stays married to Josh. Also, her entire life is controlled down to where she lives, her phone, communication, money, and who can have access to her. She only travels to see other family in the IBLP. People outside of their circle are blocked. And she mentions this because there are new reports that she may divorce him. They come up now and then. It's not happening. I agree with her completely. And I agree completely that most of the marriages were arranged. I don't think they all were, because some of the boys are a little more outspoken. Some of the husbands are a little more outspoken. But I wanted to do this video for today, which is March 3rd. Yep, March 3rd. That's starting to smell good. That's my beef stew. Check out the other channel. And I'm going to begin Murderous March. I had a glitch. And lost the half of Murderous March that I did. Fortunately, the 2 videos I've already put up, the updates and the previews, were already in the can. Thank you, Lord. So I just have to do actual videos. I'm not going to do them all. There's too many. But do as many as I can. So I hope you'll join me for that. Tomorrow is Monday, and the first case will be the case of Carol Ann Thompson, age 5, who was murdered some 75 years ago. Actually, it's more like 77 years ago now, because it was 1947. So that will be the first case we'll discuss tomorrow. Like I said, thank you for joining me. God bless you. Please subscribe if you're new. Please subscribe to the other channel for some fun and for some yummy smelling beef stew, even though I only have about half a nose to smell out of, which is kind of the norm for me. And join me Wednesday in assembling my new table for next to my new chair. I also have my new work surface all put together. That video is Work Surface Tries to Kill Me. The number of times the dang thing assaulted me while I was trying to put it together. But yeah, I've changed the office quite a bit. The desk is gone. Just getting a what do you call it? It's not a nightstand. Well, it could be. An end table to go with this big recliner that I got. But you'll see all of that on the other channel. So, please check it out. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, guys. Mwah.